Hello everyone, it's Zara Altair and this is the Midweek Zap, and we are doing Analysis Geek Out today, Data Dive Live with William Rock, and we've got another Data Dive sidekick here today, Lee Rickler, and from Point and Stare, and we're just going to go ahead. William has a lot to tell us. We have a couple of questions, but William, why don't you start us out with what you want to cover today, and for those who don't know you, a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. And Zara, thanks again for having me on the show. This has been so much fun. You know, the last episode that we did, version 1.0, was, boy, that was a cool show. That got my blood flowing pretty well and actually got me more addicted to Hangouts. So thank you for that. You're one of those hosts that keep the geek on track, and so I appreciate that as well. Some of the things I want to really kind of focus on today are, if you haven't watched the version 1.0 of Google Analytics, that's where I did a lot of the demos, and so we went through slide by slide of what the tools exist of. And so today what I want to really cover is not really the analytics portions, but have more of a discussion around different topics maybe that are coming around the internet, and you're probably getting emails about some of the things that Google's doing recently, like with the Panda or the Penguin algorithm. So I want to kind of address a little bit of that today. I won't dive into the technical aspects of it, but I want to also show how to identify it. I think that's the biggest goal is, and a lot of fear for business owners is really, was I affected, or will I be affected? And so with that, we're just going to try to see as far as we can get with that. And William Rock here, just a geek on the internet. So if you want to find out more about William Rock, just go do a Google search. You'll find me just by typing my name. If you can't find me, then I've got a major problem.
And before we get into that, and should we be panicking about Penguin or not, Lee, you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm always worried about the penguins. I am Lee Rickler. I run Point and Stare, which is an online production agency based in London, in King's Cross in London. My work primarily revolves, well, for the last 6 years, primarily has revolved around working in WordPress, developing everything from small basic one-page sites right away up to online systems and back again. We don't really do much analytic stuff and only outsource that, and that's where someone like William comes into play. But that's me from shiny London.
Yes, and you were a special request to be here today, so we want to thank you very much. I'm glad that we fit into your schedule. So, William, there's all this stuff on the internet and posts on Google Plus and Penguin this and Penguin that, and should we be freaking out?
Well, no, not really. Most of us that have built or established a really good business or have a good practice on what we're building, we don't really have much to worry about. It's the ones that, back in the day, I think if you've got an older site, then maybe you really want to look at the type of techniques that were done from your marketing agencies that you may have hired through the years, only for the fact of you hired them to do a job, and that job really, the end goal was to get ranking and to get exposure on Google. And some of those techniques then may have been the ones that got flagged by some of these recent updates, and they're going to continue to get flagged. But to worry about it, I wouldn't be so worried unless you actually hired another company that says, hey, I would just have the question with your marketing agency. So what are you doing? Maybe.
Okay, and then what are a couple of practices that maybe people should be aware of that they might have been doing or they learned a couple of years ago and that are not going to benefit them now?
Okay, great questions, Zara. Some of the things that we've been focused on, especially in like the Google Webmaster Help forums, we've been addressing things like comment spam, for one. So basically, a comment spam would be something that uh, maybe a marketing agency again would go through and just go out and comment for that person. So uh, take Zara for example. I would go out and say I am Zara, so I would be representing your name or your profile, and typing in messages to blog pages. So if I'm representing you, but I'm actually just a marketing agency, maybe I might not have the best of the message. So it can be now finally detected through Penguin 3.0. It can be now detected that Zara writes in a different way or speaks in a different way, and so that comment can really be now identified versus what it used to be in the past, where Google didn't necessarily have the answer to the fix of being able to solve PageRank issues. I guess you could say all the way back to the day of PageRank.
So say that happened and someone else is posting in your name and they're posting in a different voice and they're using a different vocabulary, I mean even a different language, all things that Google recognizes. Is that going to affect my overall perception? In other words, Google is going to now include this language, those keywords, and whatever it is this person who says they're me is doing.
So that brings us back to a comment that I remember a long time ago with David Amberland talking about with semantic search, connecting the dots.
Hmm.
So when you connect the dots and you look at it as a machine learning algorithm, it has the capability of now looking at geo-targeted information. So let's take it a little bit step back and say, okay, I'm not Zara, but I'm the marketing company that's actually posting for you. Now, as a machine, I now know your geo-posting IP. So that now I can say, okay, this is all being posted from one location versus Zara's home or Zara's cell phone or Zara's tablet. And you're going to be in different locations when you post. You might be at the park, you might be out at lunch, or you might be at a meeting or something. So you're going to have different times and different locations when you post. So I can look at natural and unnatural signals with those, where I wasn't being able to do that before if I was not a continuous learning algorithm.
Okay. For example, say it's just me, and most of the time I'm here right outside of Portland, Oregon, and next week I'm going to be in England and London and down in Hampshire, and Google's going to recognize that I'm posting from a different place, but they're still going to recognize that it's me, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, think about what you posted. Like, let's go back to your vacation post for a second. You actually told many different people that you're leaving for vacation. You'll be gone, and to take over if there's any comments that need to be addressed, right? So
Hmm.
now all those connection elements that you've done doesn't mean that something's looking at it. It's basically another connecting dot element that the semantic search looks at. And so it doesn't mean it's going to be a positive or a negative signal, but what it does do is it looks back at what Zara said. Oh, I'm leaving and I'm going to be going over here. I'm so excited. And maybe you'll have some pictures after everything happens in a personalized zone. And I think that also brings back the whole Google Plus profile, right? So
Right.
it's you that's posting, not a marketing agency. Whereas maybe a Google Plus page, now that's a different segmentation. Now you're going to have different opportunities with that now actually segment the geo portion out of it a little bit. So now you're going to have teams like employees that might be able to tag under that Google Plus page, but they're still having to be attached to a main profile, right?
Hmm.
So it's a lot easier to identify who's real and who's not.
The other side of that as well is no doubt, Zara, you've been posting a few times from your mobile.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that mobile is going to be with you when you go over to England. Then
Yeah.
you're still going to be posted for that mobile. So Google obviously does track where you are, where your devices are. So that will also play into the overall algorithm, I'm presuming anyway.
Well, the other look at that is the security side, right?
Hmm.
So let's take a little bit of the security side going, if we're going to go to England or we're going to go anywhere, okay, so our phone follows us, right? But
Yeah.
that data is not necessarily tracked. What it does is a security aspect is if you've ever followed your phone, to say you were on vacation and you typed in on a hotel and you logged into Google, it basically says, is this real? Basically, I noticed that you're coming from a totally different location that you're used to coming from, and are you sure that you want to continue? And then basically blocks that person and then sends you a text message to say, are you real again? So it's two-factor authentication where a lot of the security is not talked about, but it happens. And we all just kind of expect it to happen. But those things, especially with all the different security breaches and everything else that's gone on, we all have to look at that as a company owner and say, okay, how do we protect ourselves? Well, those are the things we also have to look at when our cellular phones go somewhere, or our computer mobile tablets, or our laptops, right? So, hopefully,
Kristen is listening. She says, listen, Kristen Drysdale, she says, this is very interesting conversation. Where am I? Who am I? Okay, Google, tell me.
well, Kristen, I think that everybody knows who you are at this point. So with
Wonderful smile of Google, this
What's
Kristen.
but that possibility? Like Zara, you're one of the popular ones as well. Lee, you're the same. When people start to know you, all of a sudden your voice gets known. But the same thing is on Google Plus. When you started engaging, even if you were just brand new, you started engaging. You started to actually network with others, and you built your own relationships throughout your time with Kristen. I don't want to go too far off of this, but look how where you came from, and now look where you're going. Very very proud of my geek chick. So
Right, and then Denver Prophet Jr. has a comment, and this has been going on for quite some time actually. Um, Geolocation checks are already done by our bank cards, credit cards. Even I've had my card flagged before because a purchase was made outside of the normal zip code range, and I think just about everybody, if you've traveled anywhere, has had that happen, and we all now know that we need to alert our bank, hey, listen, I'm going to be over here for this period of time from this date to that date. Um, so they don't get nervous. And even so, I know that I have had internationally still have that come up a problem from a banking perspective, that I called my French bank and said, listen, I'm going to be in Italy from this date to that date because I was on a research trip, and I said, I just want to let you know, and will there be any problem? And the woman said, no, 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 no problem. And I said, are you sure? Because I didn't want to be stuck there. And she said, 100%. Okay. And I got to Italy, and nope, even though I had alerted the bank. So I know that it can happen that even when you do those alerts, that um, it still comes up automatically. Whoa, you're in a different place, you're in a different country. Red flag, stop.
and that brings up a fantastic point, Zara. I mean, you're thinking about you're leaving into opportunity that you're going to need the money, and you're making sure that you've actually made those steps in process. And let's tie that back into analytics a little bit. We're doing the same thing with setting up those tools in the beginning so that when we're ready to use them, we can then go back and use them properly because we'll have the data. If we didn't set them up and we get to the point where, oh, William said to use the analytics, so now let's put those in place. But then you don't have the historical data to go, oh, that was, a year ago. Now how are we doing this year?
And then Lee's found a comment. What do you have?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions here from Vivek from earlier on in the week, I think it was actually, talking about CMS content management systems that we use, whether they make any difference at all on how Google sees your website, whether you're using WordPress or Joomla or anything like that at all. William, got any comments on that?
I do. CMS is. I used to basically be completely against going with the content management system. I used to always be avid. I was going to build this straight HTML, and it was easier. It was secure. It was I didn't have to worry about a database or somebody DDoSing of my SQL database. All those different things come into play when you bring in a CMS, but at the same time, it also makes for more efficiency in being able to update your content on your website. The downfall could be if you built a WordPress or you've built a Drupal or you've built a Joomla out of the box. Most of the time, they're going to run just fine. I've done multiple tests with straight out of the box, as well as others that have been modified with tools like, for example, let's say WordPress, utilizing some of the third-party tools, plugins that I can use for SEO modules. I've done different tests on utilizing it with or without. I found without seems to actually be more beneficial because I find that a lot of those third-party tools seem to get vulnerabilities faster, a little bit faster than others because the new negative SEO thing is to attack the site at its SEO level. I don't want to go too far into that, but with that, there's ways to detect that, and there's third-party tools for scanning that can detect that for us. Security is one of those tools that I prefer to use because they do third-party scanning on any changes that may happen. So, for example, you might not know as a business owner that you actually were affected with negative SEO through a plugin, but that's where that third party comes back in and says, okay, hey, here's send you a text message or an email. Hey, did you know that this actually happened? And you can authorize or not authorize it, and then now you can go back into your actual admin and fix that problem. So
could you explain for everybody what a negative SEO is, just in case they don't know?
Oops, I actually got into that topic. I didn't mean and I didn't really completely answer Vivek's question. I think that there's a lot of things, and I'll get into the negative SEO thing, but to answer that question real quick, I went the long way. What I wanted to basically say is it depends on your architectural. I mean, look at responsive design, look at the ways that your clients, your visitors interact with your website. The CMS, don't focus on a ranking signal from the CMS. Focus on what does it do for you at the end game as an administrator, as well as your visitor experience. So negative SEO. So let's get a little bit into negative SEO. There's a lot of different tactics that people are actually playing. Now that we've got Penguin 3.0 out, a lot of I don't want to actually speculate too far here, but I've seen a lot of the negative SEO problems in this update go away.
That's
So
good news.
I'm not really as fearful of the negative SEO, but what I would probably say is to stay away from negative SEO, continue building things like, helpful content, tips and tricks, all the things we've always talked about on your shows are.
But we still need a definition for people who don't know. What is negative SEO? Just tell them real quickly.
I'm sorry, Zara. I did that. Negative SEO is a way that the bad guys can pay. Say your competitor can actually pay for a company to hurt you. So maybe actually build a bunch of bad backlinks to your website that could hurt you in a penalty like Penguin. Penguin.
Yep.
Or could do other things like, comment spam, like we talked about earlier. So there's all sorts of different things that they can do. And right now, the big thing is, can Google detect if I did it personally, or I hired somebody to do it, or can they tell if somebody from a third party, like a competitor, is attacking me? And so that's, I think, why they're getting away from the link signal, going more into the content side of things. So we'll
Yeah,
have
we've been noticing that the link signal isn't as strong for a while now, but I have to agree with you that that's it's going to, if it's doing that and people are sending gajillion links to your site without your knowing it, and all of a sudden Google is saying, wait, what are all these links? You know, what's happening here? And you have no idea. That's the negative part of that kind of activity. But then I have a follow-up from Dave Pipe. Hi, Dave. The two-step check could be a problem for someone going abroad. It could be cheaper for a person to buy a pay-as-you-go SIM card for the country, as it is cheaper than taking the Visa from the person's regular cellular provider. And I pretty much agree with that. There's some workarounds, but that's the quick, easy fix. Do you agree?
I've never been international, so
Oh, okay.
I've never been that way. Farthest I've traveled from California to New York, and so sorry, guys.
Oh, it's all in country. Okay, yeah. It does get a little more complicated when you go overseas, especially when you're trying to fix your phone when you're jet lagged.
Eventually, I'll try, but
I've posted a quick link anyway. I just googled what is negative SEO, just for anybody who wants to delve into it a bit more as well. So I posted a link in the stream.
So
and as for going international, I've been south of the river, so I know what it's like.
What would your definition of negative SEO be?
Dirty, underhand tactics from your competitors. I always think that competitors, if they have to resort to dirty tactics, they're not really competitors anyway. So I personally don't even worry about it. I just get on and doing my stuff. Kind of mentioned this before, that I really don't personally. It's probably not a good thing to say, but I don't really care about where I am in Google. There are people whose whole business evolves around being on Google and being on page one, and that's fine. But personally, I just get on and do my stuff. Is for me, and this is totally weird because of my industry and the job I'm in. I've never really had anybody come across my website, ring me up and say, I want you to do some work. There's a lot of other factors in it. So yeah, I've never really bothered about bowing to the Google machine.
Well, you bring up some factors right there. I mean, the other factors are what, though? Those are the typical things that we learn in business school, which is, networking with others and actually building a relationship with those people, either in person or virtual.
Exactly. I always work on relationships, and especially on social signals as well. What I'm like on Facebook, what I'm like on G+, what I'm like here. People will find me that way, or they have done in the past anyway. They found me that way. And as I say, maybe I've been lucky. Maybe I haven't had to worry about where I am on Google at all. But I always work on a social aspect.
You're being real, and it goes back to, it's not being shy to say, you don't pay attention to that. It's like, even myself, I don't pay attention to my own stats. Somebody told me, oh, William, you're going to hit, was it 2 million views? And I'm like, oh, cool. But that's not what I'm looking for in my own analytics. It's what I do day to day that makes the difference and says, okay, did I do something successful? Did I teach somebody something new?
Yeah.
Did I help a company actually overcome something that they were trying to overcome, that they just had no clue to go where next to go? Okay, that's what I love to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're paying me to do a job. I would do that job to my best ability. If you're worried about being on page one of Google, then that's a small part of the marketing mix, as it were. There's more important things to worry about as well. Yes, It's nice to be found on Google, but just because you're being found, it doesn't mean to say you're going to make a sale, or whether you're going to like that person who wants to buy from you as well. There's a more I'm not sure of the word, but it's more ephemeral, probably.
Yeah. Can we take that to e-commerce even? I mean, if say for example, instead of like the B2B, let's go B2C, and maybe
Hmm.
say e-commerce, I'm selling an iPhone, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And basically I've got all these widgets, I got these cases, I've got these plugs and everything else. What's going to make me different than the average person on the internet? How am I going to get those sales to that?
Well, again, there's loads and loads of different aspects in it. First of all, does the website work? Is it up to date? Is it modern? Can I prove that you're a company? Can I do due diligence on you and prove that you are actually a real company with a good turnover? And if something goes wrong, where's your customer support line? Those kind of things as well. It's being totally open and transparent. Where's your business details so I can check up on who the directors are as well. Maybe I go into it a bit too seriously. I'm not going to, I'm buying a pair of shoes online. I'm not going to worry too much about who the directors are. But if I'm buying something that I rely on, like a mobile phone, Christmas presents, I wouldn't worry about them too much. But something like a mobile phone or whatever, then, I need to know who that I'm going to get the backup that I need, because I'm going to be there for the long run.
Especially if you break it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, who am I going to call when I break it? And that brings also to the next level. I'm sorry. If you have something that you're selling that's way in the, a product or service that's in the thousands of dollars per that, you have to prove to that person that you're actually legit. You're going to actually take
Yeah.
them, take care of, before you can even get the conversation with that person to then bring them into the office to then have the next conversation, right?
Definitely. I mean, even simple things like, what you say on Twitter as well, counts all the time as well. I hear, I'm going to do a quick search on you, your company scams or your company customer support or something like that. And hopefully, there won't be any bad Yelp reviews or anything like that.
Absolutely. And if they are, you're hoping that that company is going to do their diligence and go through and fix those issues
Yeah.
to resolve by, hey, I commented back and I'm sorry for your inconvenience. Yeah, here's whatever off your next order, or here's your money back.
Yeah.
Keep the product, here's your money back. Simple things like that just make the big difference, but at the same time, you're not actually violating anything in terms of service of Google. You're just basically taking care of their people, your customers,
Yeah.
right? Ones
Treat
that
that person.
butter.
William, you had a couple of things you wanted to share with our audience. I'm just looking at our time, and we have about
Oh,
less than 10 minutes.
It seems that we do this every time. We run out of time, don't
you
we?
made the mistake of inviting me on and asking me to talk about something I'm passionate about, and
No,
I could go on for hours on it.
that's what I was hoping to get you to actually open up, because I know
Yeah.
you're passionate about that, and I love listening to some of the shows I've been on with you. And
Yeah.
so it's really a pleasure to have you on here with me, because we're talking about something so serious where the holidays are coming up, right?
Yeah.
And they're right around the corner. If you haven't prepared for it, then you're already kind of too late. But at the same time as if you already prepared for it, now you've actually got the opportunity to say, what's next? What can I do to actually increase what I see happening in the first 2 months, or the first month of transactions? Can I maybe do a little bit of A/B split testing and see if I can get a better conversion out of either my AdWords or my organic? And just by looking at those bounce rates in your analytics, looking at your webmaster tools, stuff like that, you can really identify quickly where you can improve. And then at the same time as if you're improving in e-commerce, you've got the opportunity for growth in revenue to go back and reinvest for the next month. So you'll have a steady growth from beginning to when you actually have to really put a lot of money into right before, with was it Black Friday. When you throw a lot of money in Black Friday, you have the money and you've already got the A/B split testing done and ready, and you're dialed in. You just need to actually bring the traffic.
Okay, and then we have comment from Frederick Perron. The SEO of your own website is important, but the most important is who you are talking about. I'm sorry, who is talking about you in a positive way outside your own website, blog, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Because I would not trust a one-only voice. This is how I found a partner overseas because I was able to cross the information from many sources. That's a terrific point. That's terrific. Thank you very much.
Frederick, that was a fantastic point. And that kind of goes back to when we were talking about the knowledge graph a little bit, connecting the dots. And David Amerlin talks about that quite a bit. Being able to actually look at the semantic search algorithm and looking at what the future of Google is actually headed with all these different pieces of connecting that information. So yes, having maybe a Yelp review, or maybe having a Google review, and then you also have maybe another review for a hotel, whatever. There's all sorts of different ways that you can get that point across, but people naturally are going to talk to you not on just one platform. They're going to talk to you across it in places that you would not even imagine that they're talking to you. But that's when you look back in your analytics and you go, okay, let's look at my all referral traffic and say, okay, here's all these things that came to me. Who are they? And then you can also go back and identify negative things too, like, wow, why did I get on this site? And maybe at the same time as have a conversation with that webmaster and say, well, can we maybe remove this, or let's modify this? And it's not a bad thing to actually do that. They put you there for a reason. But if it's not, you're going to find the weird stuff, but you're going to find the good stuff, guys. What you got to look at is, what traffic's bringing your conversions, what traffic's going to bring your time on site, and low bounce. And the end game is, did they actually get to my contact page, or did they just fall off?
Okay, that's a really great point. Thank you so much. We're coming down to the end of our time, and I do have a couple of announcements, and then we're going to go back and have some last words. One is, yes, I am going on vacation, and I leave tomorrow, and I am going to be in England for just about 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll see Lee at some point in time when I'm over there. And
we've got a desk for you. Look, I've cleared the desk for you.
Thanks, Lee. And also, some of you may not know that I get probably a question a day from somebody about Google Plus or working in Google Plus, and so I also posted in my vacation notice that William Rock, yes, is going to be covering for me. So if you have any of those questions from now until November 4th, please get in touch with William and he'll help you out. And I really want to thank you, William, for doing that, for covering, because people do have little questions, and I actually got one about circles yesterday that we worked on it and I couldn't answer, and I sent them off to Christine and Craig at Circloscope. So things do happen. Sound check. Thank you, Kristen. And also, for the next 2 weeks, there will be no Midweek Zap live, as we have. I've posted in events, perfect opportunity for you to go back. And I have links to the whole playlist on YouTube, so if you want to check up on some of the past shows, from managing your money to building a larger audience and engaging on Google Plus, to more data management, more analysis, to creating your business plan, there are shows that target those things and many, many more. So next 2 weeks, if you want to set aside the same time, you can go back and watch one of the previous Midweek Zap shows. So those events are set up in events, and we'll be back on November 12th with Thomas E. Hanna, and we're going to be talking about your online presence. So I hope to see you all then. All right. So, Lee, you have any last words for anyone?
Be yourself. It's as simple as that. I will see you, Zara, on Sunday, live from Ammons Kitchen, I think, isn't it going to be?
That's right.
On the Ammonite show on Sunday night. But other than that, just I'm up here. There you go. I'm up there. Lee Rickler on G+. Just follow me and get in touch.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And
My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Internet, for paying attention to me and to everybody around us that does wonderful hangouts and everything else. The other thing would be find me on Google. Just type my name in. You'll definitely find me, I'm sure. The other piece that's exciting to me is I will be launching my book that I've been working on for a year and a half. And so I've got the courage finally to go and launch it. And so far the title is still kind of up in the air, but it's the Google Zoo, Who Moved My Keywords.
Okay, I like it. So, is there a target date for when it's coming out?
I want to say late November.
Okay, that's soon.
That's soon, very soon. I want it to be able to come out before the business planning. I mean, we're already supposed to be doing business planning for the next year, but most companies forget about that and do most of that in the beginning of January. So hopefully, I just want it to be done before that so they can prep for some of the things we've talked about on the show. It'll have plenty of references to the shows, as well as slide shares and screenshots, everything. I mean, it's going to be full of lots of goodies.
Okay, and then we have one more thing for you, William. Since I'm going to be gone, Kristen Drysdale wants to know if we direct all the chocolate treats to you as well. And so anything can happen here on Google+. Thanks, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen.
And so we're going to close the show. Thanks again, wonderful Zapster audience, for being with us, for giving us more information, for asking really great questions. And I will see you again on November 12th. And thanks so much, Lee and William. Thanks, everyone.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Bye.